We are back on the record. It is still Mr. DeSantis' case. Mr. DeSantis, do you have a next witness you're calling?
We do, Judge. We're going to call Dr. Laura Seewald.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Sure, Laura Seewald.
And ma'am, can you raise your right hand to receive your oath?
Under penalty of perjury, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good. Thank you. You may be seated.
Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Sure, Laura Seewald, Lauraseewald.
And how are you employed?
I'm employed as an emergency medicine physician at Hurley Medical Center.
So you're an ER doctor?
Yes.
Okay. And are you a licensed physician?
Yes.
How long have you been a licensed physician?
2 years.
And how long have you been working in an ER?
2 years as an attending, 6 years since my initial training.
Okay. Does that include residency?
Yes.
Okay. How many cases do you think you've seen in your career?
Oh, a few thousand.
Okay. I want to take you to October 1st, 2021. Were you working on that day?
Yes.
What was your position then?
Attending physician.
Okay. Do you recall a patient named Konrad Imirowicz?
I do.
Did you come to treat him that day? What did you remember about him? If you can keep your voice up for us.
Sure. I remember the patient was a transfer from an outside hospital coming to us for a burn that he sustained a few hours before, earlier in the day. And my initial assessment was that the patient had severe burns all over his body, mostly to the legs and arm and torso, I believe. And then our initial assessment, he did appear to be he had critical injuries from his burns, but didn't need any advanced procedures from me, like an airway or anything like that. So he was able to talk.
Okay. What is critical condition mean?
Critical condition can mean a few different things in a trauma case. From my perspective, someone who's critical has burns to his severity, but he didn't need, like I said, an emergent intervention from my perspective, which means like an airway, putting him on life support or something like that. So he was able to talk at the time, but he did need to go urgently to the operating room to have his burns ultimately debrided.
Okay, what does that mean?
Debrided means, so when you have burns that are really severe, you actually have to take off the skin that has been injured to help with the healing process. And for him, typically with burns like that, a lot of times they'll try to do grafting for them eventually. But you have to kind of get that first layer of dead skin off, actually, to help with the healing process. And also what can happen is, if you don't take that skin off, you can actually develop damage to the muscles in your, like for him in his leg, for instance, right? So it's really severe. If you don't take that skin off, the muscles themselves can start to die because there's nowhere for blood flow to kind of get to the area. So you have to remove that skin so that you can allow better flow and healing process, basically.
Okay. Now, part of your job, I assume, is to keep medical records.
Correct.
Okay. So what is your process of keeping medical records?
When you say keeping medical records, you mean just recording what I saw that day?
What are your obligations to record medical records at your hospital?
Yeah, so I interview the patient. If they can speak to me, then I, try to get an idea of what brought them in. Then I do my physical exam, and I record what I see on my physical exam. And then I do my medical decision making, which is to say what my overall impression is of what happened to the patient, and what I think the next steps are involved in their care.
Okay. And do you have to keep that in every case?
Every case, yes.
And that's the obligation of all medical staff?
Correct.
Okay. And you assume keep these in some kind of computerized form, I assume?
They are kept as, yes, they're in the hospital electronic medical record.
All right. Have you reviewed the medical records in this case?
I did.
Okay. They're quite voluminous, aren't they?
I will say I didn't review every single one. I believe the patient was there for about 5 months, but I reviewed the initial records and then his discharge summary.
Okay. Judge, may I approach the witness? You're showing the witness the first page of People's Proposed Exhibit 15. Can you take a look at that for me? Do you recognize that?
This is just kind of an overall summary of what, to me, this appears to be an overall summary of what brought the patient in.
But that's a page from those medical records, is that right?
Yes, correct.
That's a page from Konrad Imirowicz's medical records?
It appears to me, yes.
Okay, thank you. And you said you reviewed the rest of the records, which were quite voluminous, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Judge, I also have a certification from a certified custodian of Hurley Medical Center that the attached records, these are printouts of the electronic file, were made at or near the time of occurrence, the matter set forth by, and from the information transmitted by a person with knowledge of those matters. The records were kept in the course of the regularly conducted business activity, and it was the regular practice of the business activity to make the record dated June 1st, 2022 by Winkus Hall. And so I would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 15.
Your Honor, I've read those all, and I have no objection.
Thank you, so admitted.
Thank you. I'm obviously not going to display all. These are double-sided.
Okay.
I just want to highlight a couple pages first off. If I can have the screen on, please.
Yes, Joe Pick. I'm interested to hear Megan's side of things. Grew up in a household family.
Screen here? Okay.
Takes a heavy toll.
I'm showing page 1, this page I just showed you, and I actually highlighted a section there on the right side. Can you see that?
Yes.
What section is that?
That's just the admission information.
Okay. Do you see an arrow there pointing at something?
Yeah, that's my name.
That's your name? Okay. So these are those records, is that right?
Correct.
All right. I'm moving now to page 22, which indicates, what does HPI mean?
That's the history of presenting illness, basically. So that's basically you saying, it's kind of your first part of the note that just says what brought the patient in today.
Okay, can you read that for us?
Sure. So it says a blank old blank with a history of alcohol use disorder who presents for further evaluation from an outside hospital transfer for chemical burn. Per patient who was asleep this morning, I believe this is a typo, with a belief that his daughter reports some unknown chemical onto him, and he's sustained, I believe that should be sustained, a burn to multiple areas of his body. States that he slept through all of this until the significant other found him and brought him into the hospital. At the also hospital, it should be outside hospital, thus made it approximately 35% burn to the body. He was given a liter of fluid. Tetanus was updated and was given antibiotics as well. He also underwent decontamination at the outside hospital. At this time, the patient states that most of his pain is focused around his groin, but he otherwise denies any chest pain, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, vision changes, or blood thinners.
And just to be clear, I think that says difficulty swallowing, is that right?
Difficulty swallowing, sorry, yes.
That's okay, thank you. Moving on to the next page, which is page 45 of the records. Can you see that section there? Can you read that for us?
Yes, so this is another HPI. So Konrad, and can you pronounce his last name? Imirowicz is a blank seen in the emergency department as a result of a burn injury. The burns were caused by acid or chemical burn. The chemical causing the burn is unknown. The burn occurred when he believes someone threw it on him while he was sleeping and is unsure when it occurred or how long he laid in it. There was not an explosion involved. Decontamination actions were not taken at home, but were performed at the outside hospital. There's no associated inhalation injury. Extent of the burns are as followed: TBSA 41%, superficial 0, partial thickness 0, full thickness burn 0.
So what is the...
Hold on, full thickness burn. Full thickness burn 41%. Apologies.
And I was going to ask, what does that mean?
So TBSA is basically it's a way to think about total body surface area. So how much of your body sustained a burn? That's how we estimate that. So about 41% of his body was estimated to have a burn to it. And then superficial, partial thickness, and full thickness burns characterize the burns. Superficial would be like a sunburn. Partial thickness would be, you might see some blistering or something like that. There's some degrees to that. And then full thickness means that it's a very deep burn. And that would be, on the scale, that's the worst kind of burn.
Moving to another page here. This is... Sorry. I accidentally covered up the page number there. I'll have to get the page number in a minute. And as a matter of fact, I can move off this page, frankly, until I get the page number. At this point, Judge, I am going to show the photos.
Okay.
I think she has to see them. They'd be admitted first.
They're part of the medical records.
Oh,
so-
that's true.
Okay.
They're
So
all-
you're going to show the photos that are part of the medical records.
Correct.
Jury, I just want to prepare you with regard to the photographs that you will be seeing. They are shocking. So go ahead, proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm making it small in case, you guys. I don't know what's going to happen.
Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, this is a picture of the patient with some of his burns being noted. So this
Okay,
is
okay.
on the left side, you see his back with some burns to the upper torso and to the lower back as well. And then on the right, that looks to be his left shoulder. That black over it just means that it's a really deep kind of burn is the easiest way to think about it.
Okay. What do these kind of burns have a degree?
Yeah, so this would be, so there's two ways to think about it. There's deep, which is what we had just talked about. So that would be full thickness burn. And then when you think about, there's also a degree measurement system from 1 to 4. 3 and 4 are both deep kind of burns. These appear to be 3 to 4, which is, again, kind of the worst type of burn you can have.
Thank you. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so this is looks to be his right lower extremity, and this would be characterized as a 4th degree burn because you can start to see some erosion into the actual muscle tissue.
Is that dangerous?
Yes,
Are there concerns with infections from these kind of burns?
yes.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
That's the top of the patient's head with similar type of burn pattern.
Those are kind of the same degree and type of burns as the others?
Yes.
Can you talk to us about these?
This is the patient's right and left lower extremities. These are the anterior aspects of similar type of burn.
All right. What are we looking at here?
I believe that's the patient's left leg, and so on the left side here, that's his upper thigh. And then on the back, this is where a lot of his really severe injuries were, which is the whole back of his leg is essentially burned.
Okay. Were those the same type of burns?
Yes.
Did you observe these yourself?
Yes.
Can you tell us about these two photos?
So this is his, these are burns to his left upper extremity, so some burns to the hand and fingers, and then to his left elbow as well. Or I should say left upper arm.
Are any of these burns anything less than the type 3 or 4 that you were talking about?
Not really. I mean, some of the speckling patterns you could technically say might be 2nd degree, but everywhere you see the black, those are all 3rd to 4th degree burns.
Okay, and just to be clear, you can see my laser pointing here, right?
Yeah.
The speckling you're referring to, is that some of these
Yeah, that
other
could
pieces?
maybe be like a 2nd degree or 3rd degree burn.
Okay. Can you tell us what these are?
Well, this is actually post-debridement. So again, debriding meaning that you took the damaged skin tissue off. And then this appears to me to be the first stages of grafting.
Okay, and what is grafting?
Grafting is taking skin from, it can be from an animal, a cadaver, other various things, and to actually replace the old skin that was there to help with replace the skin that was there before.
Okay, so this is after some treatment is done and that black skin has been removed.
Correct.
Okay. What about these?
Similar process again. So this to me appears that the dead skin had been removed and that grafting had been placed.
In here?
This is his right lower, I believe this is right, or no, sorry, this is his left lower extremity after extensive debridement, and it appears to be that there had been some graft placed as well.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last.
It appears, so this is the left lower extremity that had extensive debridement to it, and then it appears to me that I see some areas of grafting too.
And what makes you say that?
Basically where you start to see that like cross-hatching patterns. I don't know.
So like
yeah,
here?
so there, exactly. That looks to me to be consistent with grafted skin.
Okay. What about these other sections here that are kind of still black, or I would even say yellow or pale?
Yeah, so typically, and again, I'm not a burn expert, but that is the, that's kind of old fat, essentially, that they weren't either weren't able to debride or they thought was okay to leave after their initial surgery.
Okay. What about this here?
And that is the right lower extremity, again, was after the debridement process and a graft had been placed.
And this here?
Same thing. This is the left side of the chest after the debridement process, and looks to be a graft placed.
Okay. The injuries here that like my cursor's on here in kind of the center between in the center of his chest and around the solar plexus, is that kind of like those specklings, what they would look like after the debridement?
Yeah, they might. Those probably weren't debrided actually.
Okay.
That's probably from the initial injuries.
All right.
Because yeah.
Thank you. That's the end of the photos, Judge. With injuries, burns like that, is there a risk of infection?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of infections can result?
Really any kind of infection, but bacterial are the main ones that you think about.
I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
If you need to put anything up, let me know. So we'll see. Doctor, where did you go to medical school?
I went to medical school at Rosalind Franklin University in Chicago.
And you did an internship?
I did my internship and residency at the University of Michigan.
All right. And did you do any other fellowships or?
Yeah, I did a research fellowship as well.
Okay. And you've been in practice for how long before this? How long were you licensed before this?
So you're asking as an attending physician?
Yes.
Let's see, so that was in October, and I started in July of that year, so 3 months.
Okay. You ever seen a burn case like this before?
Not to this extent, no. Well, I've seen similar burns. Depends on the question you're asking.
Okay.
I've seen extensive burns before.
Sure. Chemical burns?
I've seen chemical burns before, but not to that extent.
All right. So you reviewed some of that medical file, correct?
Correct.
Don't blame you. The police report indicates that somebody told him that his somebody told the officer that his blood alcohol level was a 0.3 when he was admitted.
I believe it was 0.255.
0.255?
You'd have to check the record for sure, but there was, on my review, there was alcohol in the system.
He was also listed as chronic alcoholic?
Yes, that's the information we were given as well, and I believe that's what I think he also stated that he was a daily drinker as well.
All right. Do you know what time that test was?
It would have been, the labs would have all been drawn at the time that he came into our hospital. So whenever he arrived and blood work was done, it would have been within the hour that he arrived.
All right. And
It was 8:56.
pardon? Okay. All right. And if I said that the arrival time was 8:56 p.m., would you disagree with that?
I would not.
All right. So about 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Did you talk with Mr. Imirowicz?
I did.
Was he able to talk fairly well?
Yeah, he was.
Did he explain to you what happened?
Not in detail. I didn't. It's not. I think we just asked him what he thought had happened, and he said that he thought his daughter had poured something on him. But that was basically all that we
And you
discussed.
remember that specifically?
I do actually remember it specifically. Yeah.
Okay. Was the trooper present at the time?
Not that I recall. Or sorry, he could or could not have been. I'm not sure.
You're not. Well,
Yeah.
don't recall. That's
Okay, that's
pretty much
that's
the same
right
thing.
word. Okay.
Okay. What history were you given? Do you remember?
Basically, the history that was shown in the first part of the note, which was that it was an outside hospital transfer of a gentleman who sustained chemical burns to his body. That was the history that I was given.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Judge, I don't have any redirect. I was just going to put on the record that the one page I show that I did not have the page number of was page 300. And I can show it again if you'd like.
No, it's okay.
I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions? No questions? Okay, ma'am. You are thanking the accused of the witness. You may step down.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Yes.
Okay, so self-reported daily drinking, struggling with chronic alcohol abuse disorder is what they listed there. He said he was talking. He was talking then at the hospital because he said his daughter poured an unknown chemical on him. He said he slept through it all. There were 35% burns on his body. And most of the pain was around the groin. That must have been so hectic, oh my word. The difficulty swallowing, which could be from inhaling those fumes. As you know, the sound's not on now because they're doing sidebar. And they also did this debriding, the scrubbing off of tissue until you hit healthy tissues. My word, this is so hectic. And his blood alcohol level was 0.255. Also, we're not victim blaming. We're looking at the facts. There's very serious consequences to this. So it's not about her being a brat, and it's not about him being an alcoholic. It's about what happened here.
Okay, everyone can be
What
seated.
charges is she facing?
Mr. Sands, go ahead, please.
What are the consequences, right?
This morning, the trooper indicated to me that he had looked at the video on his phone of him talking to the victim, Konrad Imirowicz, at Hurley Hospital. It was not something I had seen before. It does memorialize an interview that he had listed as having occurred in his report, and I believe is substantially similar. Upon him telling me that and showing it to me, I immediately alerted Mr. Miller. We went outside and watched the video on the trooper's cell phone almost twice through. It's about 9 minutes long. So at this point, I think he has the absolute right, of course, to sit down with his client in private, watch the video, decide what they want to do next steps, and of course, admit it, which I will not be objecting to.
Okay. And with regard to the video, this is not a video that has been previously produced.
Correct.
And so today was the first time that Mr. Miller or his client had any knowledge with regard to the video. Is that correct?
That's correct, and this is also the first time I had seen it.
And I believe that Mr. DeSantos did advise me right away. I've got no reason to believe he was hiding anything.
I understand. No, I don't believe that he was doing anything improper, Mr. DeSantis.
No.
Mr. Miller, sir, I'm going to give you the opportunity to review the video with your client in the courtroom. I am going to ask that everybody else,
Exception of the officers.
yeah, obviously the deputies can stay. Everyone else should probably exit the courtroom so that you can have free reign of discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Also, I frankly believe we're going to play the video, so I don't know how we want to do that. That might give your staff something to do and everyone try and figure out how we're going to do it, but
Okay, they did request a phone cord charger.
If anyone has an iPhone cord with a USB, I can put it on my laptop, and I'm happy to play it.
Do you do that? Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're already
Great.
on it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Niemer. Okay, and then as far as the cameras go, I'm going to ask that once Mr. Miller is reviewing it with his client and having discussions, that you make sure that none of your equipment is recording or videoing anything, please. Okay? Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know how long all this will take. We'll have to wait and see.
Good morning, Your Honor. Hunter Smith.
Thank you.
Megan Emirowicz.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to bring the jury back in. Are you guys all set?
We are ready to proceed, Judge.
Thank you.
Recess.
Thank you, Deputy.
Oh, that's right.
All rise for the jury.
Okay, so we found it on Amazon. We'll look at it if there's another break, or we'll see what happens. But yeah, we found that stuff right there on Amazon. Okay, so the jury is back. Well, they're entering the room. This is Megan Emirowicz. Welcome to day 3. I suppose part 2. Because they had a break now to discuss a video exhibit that maybe we'll be able to see.
Mr. DeSantis, sir?
People are going to call Trooper Hunter Smith.
Thank you. Sir, can you just raise your right hand to be sworn, please?
Under penalty of perjury, you solemnly swear that the testimony about to be before this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may be seated.
Are you okay in the chair there? Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, sir. Hunter, Hunter, last name Smith, common spelling, Smith.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm employed by the Michigan State Police.
And how long have you been with Michigan State Police?
About 3 years.
Okay. What's your position?
A trooper.
And what were your duties on October 1st, 2021?
My duties are to cover the northern Oakland County area.
And how do you do that?
I do that by taking calls for service in Holly, Rose Township, and Groveland Township, and just respond to calls, run traffic, stuff along those lines.
I want to take you to that date of October 1st, 2021. Were you dispatched to 1650 Duck Creek Lane in Ortonville?
Not initially. I was dispatched to the Ascension Genesis in Grand Blanc.
Okay, so you were sent only when to the hospital location at first.
Correct.
And what was the dispatch for, to your knowledge?
Our dispatch call was a victim was burned, originating from 1650 Duck Creek Lane, which is in our coverage area.
Okay. Did you work alone that evening?
No, I had 2 partners, 3 including myself.
Okay. How many vehicles?
Through 3 vehicles, I believe, or 2 vehicles. I'm not sure.
Okay. What did you find when you got to the hospital?
When I got to the hospital, I was greeted with Julie Imirowicz. I believe it was the son of Konrad. I'm blanking on his name. I'm sorry. And then 2 other witnesses, Lucas and Kayla.
Okay. Now you said Julie Imirowicz. Do you mean Julie Conrad?
Or correct. Sorry.
Okay. And you don't recall exactly who you met with when you got there?
No, not initially. No.
Okay. Would looking at your report refresh your recollection?
Sure.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
Just take a look at that, read through it to yourself, and then put it face down and look up at me when you're done. Did that refresh your recollection?
It did, sir.
Who did you meet with when you got there?
So, like I said, I met with those 4 witnesses, and then I met with EMS and hospital staff.
Okay. And so what was your process when you got there?
My process when I got there was to interview everyone that was either a witness or there, and then to get further information on how the victim was doing and speak with EMS and hospital staff to gauge what was happening.
All right. Now, before we get to who said what and who you talked to, did you eventually go to the Imirowicz home?
I did.
When did you do that?
I did that after I spoke with Konrad Imirowicz later in the night.
Okay. And what did you do when you got there?
When I got there, I went inside the residence. I observed what was to be a messy house, and I took pictures of what I thought at the time was evidence.
And Judge, can I use the screen?
Yes.
I hope they show us. Show us the screen. Maybe we'll hear it, though.
Admitted as People's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
I do, sir.
Is this a photo that you took?
It is.
Okay. Can you tell us about the scene here?
Yeah, so when you walk in the house, it's a bi-level house. So we took the right to go up the right staircase. Where that picture was taken, it was to the left. So once you get up on the landing of the staircase on the upper level, you take a left, and the couch was right there. When we walked in, that's exactly what we saw, and that's what we photographed.
Okay. Tell us about the condition of the couch.
The condition of the couch, it's obviously in not the best shape, but it appeared to be moist, wet. You could see visible areas of the leather or whatever material that is. Then you saw, the blanket right there with the bottle at the time, with the white stuff sprinkled all over the couch.
Did you know what the white stuff was when you saw it?
At the time, I didn't move anything, so I did not at first.
Okay. As part of your investigation, did you eventually obtain the bottle that's shown there?
I did.
Okay, you took it in evidence?
I did.
And what's the process for preserving evidence?
The process of preserving evidence is you collect a piece of evidence, and then you take it to our post, and then it's just the chain of custody, just so no one touches it, stuff like that. You collect it, you preserve it, and then you bring it to the post, and then the property sergeant handles it therefor after.
Okay. And when did you actually go and get the bottle?
I went I photographed this on the day of the incident. It was probably about 2 to 3 weeks later when I went to get the bottle.
Okay. And when you went to get the bottle, when you came back to the scene, had anything changed?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Was there anything you observed that indicated that there was any difference in the bottle or its condition?
Not to my knowledge.
Judge, I'm showing counsel. Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm showing what I've previously marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 9. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
What is it?
It is a bottle of household 100% lye drain opener.
Is that the bottle that you found?
It is.
Is that the way you packaged it?
It is.
And is that the way you preserved it for evidence?
It is.
Does that very inaccurately show the condition as it was when you collected it and also the night you saw it?
Yes, sir.
I move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 9.
No objection.
So admitted.
Tell us what the bottle says in the front.
Okay, so the bottle says on the front, crystals of household, 100% lye drain opener. It says, gets the clog out.
All right, at the bottom there's a red label, is that right?
Correct.
What's on the red label?
From what I can read, it says danger, poison, something swallowed or inhaled, causes severe burns, and then the rest is kind of covered with the white powder.
Is there a picture on it?
There is.
What's the picture?
The picture shows a skull with crossbones.
Now, the bag is completely sealed, correct?
Correct.
Nothing can get out?
Correct.
Even so, Judge, I'm just going to show it to the jury versus let them handle it. Of course, if they want to look at it more closely, they can take it in the bag.
Thank you.
When you got there, was the bottle full, empty? How much was in it?
The bottle was fairly empty. There could have been a couple particles of the substance in the bottle.
And in fact, there's some here in the bag, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you pick up any of the powder that was on the couch and put it in the bag?
I did not. The remaining powder fell out.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to take you back to when you first made the scene. You talked to the witnesses who were present, correct?
Correct.
Then you talked to medical staff.
Correct.
Now, did you talk to Konrad that night?
I talked to Konrad later in the night.
Okay. Did you talk to Megan that night?
Later in the night.
Do you know which one you talked to first?
I talked to Konrad first.
Okay. Where did you speak to Konrad?
I spoke to Konrad at Hurley Medical Center in Flint.
Okay. So this was after he had been transferred?
Correct.
Do you recall what time it was?
I'd say probably around 10 to 11 o'clock is when I got to Hurley Hospital to interview Konrad.
Okay. And when you got there, what was his condition?
His condition was stable. Obviously, he had a lot of pain, but the medical staff provided him adequate medication for that pain. So he was alert, he was conscious, he was able to speak with me coherently.
All right. Were there other people in the room when you were talking to him?
Hospital staff, nurses, I'm presuming doctors.
Okay. And did you record that interview?
I did.
Okay. Judge, I'm showing what is going to be marked as People's Clause Exhibit 21. Trooper, I'm going to need you to come down and unlock it.
You don't want the lights off again, Judge?
Yes, please.
Oh, video time. Perimeter lights off. Okay.
Now, Trooper, we were just reviewing this. Is this the recording of you interviewing Konrad?
Correct.
And it's fair and accurate?
Correct.
Judge, I move to admit People's Clause Exhibit 21.
I've seen
Okay,
it.
we're going to see the victim being interviewed.
She wanted to go with a very immediate place. I couldn't get her in for whatever reason. So they were going to go to a hotel. And she wanted her hair colored. She's got really dark hair. Might be black, like your mask. And it's really hard to color.
So you got a pacemaker, right?
No.
No?
No. Nothing.
Nothing
No
in you at all?
medications, no.
Do you mind if we go in your house?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Door's open.
That's fine.
And so I don't know. Yeah, last night I noticed she threw a bunch of stuff at me. Got mad.
Would you like stuff meaning?
There's she rearranged her bedroom, so there was a mattress on the wall. She got went crazy on that stuff. I've asked her to take out the garbage several times, and that hasn't been working. But
Is this kind of? I'm trying to gauge this. Is this a normal behavior that she would throw stuff on you to burn you?
no, she usually it's an argument. I get mad at her, she gets mad at me. We badmouth each other. It's about normal, right? But this is very, very. So last night I had half a Smirnoff. Put the bottle down.
Fit the Smirnoff?
No, it was a little.
Oh, the airplane size?
No, the Smirnoff. What do you call it? Ice.
Oh, beer, like the beer thing. Yeah. Yeah, like the seltzer.
Little seltzer, right?
Sure.
Lemonade. So I watched the movie, shut off my phone, call it a night. Pretty early. And this morning, I got up, finished my Smirnoff, watched the rest of the movie, went back to bed. And then, next I know, I got all kinds of people in the house with,
Were you sleeping when this happened, or were you
Yes.
unconscious?
No, sleeping. I wasn't unconscious. We didn't have anything to drink. I only had half the Smirnoff, give me a break. I was thinking about getting her some breakfast and stuff, or making some, I was going to get her a breakfast, because I was got the 2 for $5 thing going. Keeps. So I was going to do that. Are you good? Or am I still with you too much? Okay. Go ahead.
I won't bother you that much. All I need, if you don't remember, you don't remember. All I just want to know if we could go into your house to investigate what happened.
Go ahead.
Okay.
The door is open. Right, Austin? It's unlocked.
The door is open. Yes, I have.
There's a bunch of cats in
Let
there.
me talk to him, and then we'll talk out there.
All the cats can go out except for the little gray one.
Okay.
I mean, she's tiny.
Right.
Kind of one. She's not old enough to go outside yet.
Okay.
Right? But
Do you mind if I see your hand? If you just want to flip it.
pull this cover off. I can't get it. The legs.
Carefully.
Show the legs.
Are you wrapped up in this?
Yeah, good. We're wrapped up.
I don't know if you're wrapped in like a bungee or really. Do you see that good enough, or do you need that good enough? It's like this on the other leg.
This side.
Yeah.
You get to it too.
Yeah. okay to lift that up like that? Okay.
You see it? Yeah. All right.
Do you have it on your back? You don't have to get up, but I'm just asking. Okay.
Hard to hit. I don't know. I got it on my. You can see my shoulder if you wanted to focus on that.
It's okay.
Can I show him the pictures that I took?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. Okay, I will. I appreciate it. You get better, and I'll keep in contact with your family. Okay.
All right. That's awesome.
Yep. All right.
I don't know if they're going to
All right. We'll feel better. Okay.
except they're not going to be water.
Well.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
Is that the end of your interview with him?
Correct.
And it was after that that you went to the house?
Correct.
Okay. And it was after that that you spoke to the defendant?
Correct.
Now, where was the defendant?
With the help of her mother, we were able to track her in Waterford at a hotel, Quality Inn and Suites, right off 59.
Okay. And did you make that location?
I did make that location.
Do you recall about what time you did that?
I'd have to say right around midnight, 11:30-ish.
Okay. And when you got there, you weren't working alone, right? You had other officers?
Correct, my two partners.
Okay. When you got there, what happened?
When we got there, we were able to. We had a hunch that this group of kids in this vehicle maybe be, one of them maybe be Megan. So we approached that vehicle and I asked, "Is there a Megan here?" Which she stated yes.
Okay. And do you see that person in court today?
I do.
Can you please point and identify something she's wearing for us?
Correct. She's right over there on the right, wearing a blue blouse.
And Judge, I'd like to have the record reflect that witness identified the defendant.
No objection.
So noted.
Thank you. What was going on in the car when you got there?
It was dark, so I'm not sure what was going on in the car. I just saw maybe a group of 5 to 6 kids just in the vehicle. It's like a van-style vehicle.
Okay. Now, you asked if there was a Megan, and the defendant said yes?
Correct.
What did you do then?
I asked if I could speak with her.
Okay. What did she say?
She said, okay.
And so what happened?
So I brought her to the front of my patrol vehicle where there's a camera. And then I advised her she's not under arrest. I just wanted to speak with her and get her side of the story and see what happened tonight, or earlier in the night.
Okay. Did the camera record that interview?
It did.
Is that fair and accurate?
It is.
Okay, and you've seen it recently?
I have.
Judge, I move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 19.
No objection.
So noted.
Thank you. We can dim the lights again. Thank you.
Okay, here we go with the next exhibit. I don't know why the sound's off. Bring it back, guys.
Is this that video, sir?
Correct. It records at 30 seconds, just for your knowledge.
Yes, sir. I don't know. What's your name by chance?
Colby.
Chloe what?
Howard.
Downhauer. You got any friends in here named Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's alright there. You mind stepping out and talking to me for a minute? How are ya? You got any weapons on you?
No.
Okay, we're just gonna go talk about it in my car, okay? You know why we're here?
No.
You don't know?
My dad?
Yeah. So we're just making sure, making sure he's okay. We talked to right over in front of this car. He's actually at the hospital right now. So I don't know if you know that or not. So do you know why we're here?
I know that they told me that he has some kind of breath on him.
So
I'm just going to stop this for a moment. Trooper, who's that in the center of the frame?
That'd be Megan Emirowicz.
Okay. That's this person here I'm indicating with my cursor?
Correct.
And who is this with my cursor?
That'd be myself.
And who's over here?
That'd be Trooper Corona.
And right here?
Trooper Baldwin.
Okay.
when was the last time you were at the house?
Around 10
just not, it's not, I'm not understanding. Is this self-inflicted? Like, if you, I mean, put you in my shoes. You two are the only people in that house. And you leave at 2 o'clock and he's perfectly fine, right? And all of a sudden,
I get that.
you know what I mean? So, how did he get these, you know?
I mean, we have stuff over there. We have cats that knock things over all the time. I get rid of them. I don't know. If I knew that there was chemicals over there, I would clean up. But I didn't know.
You remember me? Remember I talked to you in the right? Okay. So, yeah, I was there in the house, right? I understand the whole situation that got going on. Last time I tried to talk to you, barely even sit up, so I understand the anger and the upset and stuff you would have to do this stuff. Okay? Now, we went over to the house today. Okay? So, we were also told by some of your other friends that you told them that you took bread and other food products at him.
I never cook any other food. Maybe it's like I do like food. There's only ever food around that. We never intentionally throw something dangerous out my closet.
Right. Why? So, we found the cleaning product that was like, I don't know about. Now, here's the thing. Here's what makes sense, right? You just throw in a piece of bread at him, and all the things burned up, that would make sense. So it doesn't make sense. You just grab the things, like, I'm upset, you're throwing it at him, and that's fine. And that's what happened, and that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. He's in the hospital, and we need to know what was thrown at him. Okay? So, I'm not saying you intended to do anything intentionally. If you're upset, you're throwing things, you know, and you're upset because of the situation, you're supposed to keep it hurt when. I understand that, but we need you to be honest with us, okay? Seriously. Be honest with us. It goes a long way. It goes a long way, so it really does. If you're more honest. What it was that you were throwing. Do you remember? Do you not remember? You don't remember? Okay, is it possible that you threw some other things inside the bread?
I mean, it could be possible. I don't know.
Okay. So there was this canister, stuff's a lot. Okay. So it looks like it could have been thrown over his head and it landed all over. Okay. Is there any reason why your fingerprints would be on it?
I mean, I carry the groceries. That's my job.
Okay.
So we all do. So
Do you remember throwing anything at him that caused like the white powder to land? Not intentional. We're not saying you intentionally tried to. We're trying to figure out what she threw. Just landed on.
I don't think so. I mean, there was like liquids, or there was
What kind of liquid?
probably like water or something. Like I don't
Like a water bottle or a cup of water?
It was in the bottle with bottle water.
Okay. And is that still on it? So this is where we're at, right? You said you threw bread. Only bread. Now you said you threw water. So this is going to be, okay, we do this every single day, all right? I don't want to see you get jammed up. If you tell us the truth, it will be better for you, okay? Rather than lying and then we're beating around the bush and then we're out here for hours on end when we can just figure out what's actually going on, okay? That's why we're here. We're just figuring out what's going on. So do you want to restart and tell us what happened? Okay, so what happened?
So I was throwing things. I was just grabbing anything that was on the floor. And then I just got awake. I got tired of it. And I walked away.
Was he awake during this time?
It was on and on. He would fall asleep in place and then he'd wake up. It wasn't like he was fully awake. Obviously he was intoxicated, so
Yeah.
it was something.
So he wasn't really talking or saying anything, but you were just upset at him.
He would only say like, why can't you take the car? Why can't you take the car? That's all.
Then before or after you were going somewhere? Okay, so while you're throwing things, is he saying anything or just kind of occupants? So was he coherent or was he just totally like, he was out of it? Okay. When you were throwing stuff, right, safety, or?
Well, I needed his credit card thing, but I also wanted to know if he was okay. Like, I'm not gonna just, like, I know that I have to be the one that takes care of him when my brother's not there, so I'm gonna check in on him.
Is there any reason why he wouldn't be okay? Okay. Were you concerned that there was white powder on him, that maybe he would have ate through his skin?
I didn't know he would do that. I thought things like that just kind of sat there and nothing would happen.
All right. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Okay. You got any weapons on you right now?
I just have my ring key, my phone, and
Okay. What's your, what did you do after that?
I left, and then I came here.
And then are these your friends that you're hanging out with? Your mom, right? So it was your birthday, what, 2 days ago now? Okay. Was your, you said you had your dad's credit card?
Yeah.
And did he give that to you?
He lets me borrow. He knew I had to borrow it today to drive him home. So I don't use his credit card unless it's like I ask him and we put my own money on there so I can use his credit card.
All right, now, I guess my question to you is, why did you tell us initially you only threw bread? Well, what were you afraid of that?
I don't want to get in trouble for something I would never purposely put my mouth in.
Did you think that what you did today might have hurt him when we came here? Is that why you weren't telling us everything that happened?
Well, I knew because obviously like my brother's yelling at me, like everyone's yelling at me because they think I'm this horrible person and like I didn't actually do that. And I don't want to get in trouble for something I never had to do. I didn't think it would hurt me.
Okay, so you're in my shoes, right? How old are you? You just turned 18. If you were to throw, and give me the honest truth, if you were to throw Drano, household acidic cleaners on someone's body, what would you think that would do? I mean, we're both smart individuals. It's fine.
I didn't think like a powder alone would do that.
Well, you said you threw water too, right? You know, the water and the Drano. Okay. So, at this point, I'm going to have you turn around. You are under arrest, okay? All right, so turn around, place your hands behind your back, okay? We'll try not to make it a big scene. Go like this with your hands, okay? And I'll explain to you what's going on, all right? I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you got anything on you other than what you said? No. Okay.
I don't have my shoes.
That's fine, we'll grab them.
Okay.
If you're, hey,
They're in my room.
listen to me. Okay? If you're cool with us, we're going to be cool with you. We're doing our job, okay? We'll let you call your mom. Yeah, we'll let you call your mom. We'll grab your shoes, all your belongings. We'll take off, okay? As far as, like, your bracelets and stuff.
It's in my pocket.
Okay, let me just double lock these so they don't tighten up on you, okay?
Okay.
Are these okay for right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for right
And Judge, I'm stopping the video at 15 minutes and 30 seconds for the record.
Thank you.
Trooper, what was your sense from that conversation?
Well, my sense from that conversation was there's only two individuals in the house. There's Megan, there's Konrad, right? Konrad has, superficial burns, quite extensive burns on his body. There's only two people in the house. I was trying to figure out, was this self-inflicted or, was this deliberate by, the defendant? Stuff along those lines. Just trying to gauge the situation, interviewing all parties, part of my due diligence as a police officer.
Okay. I want to ask another question. One of your comrade troopers mentioned something to her about fingerprints coming off the bottle. When you were trained as a police officer, were you told what fingerprints are?
I was.
And do you know how they obtain them?
I do.
How do they obtain them?
So there's different types of ways to obtain a fingerprint. So for example, this bottle, it's a white bottle. Usually we use black powder, and then you kind of sprinkle the black powder on the bottle lightly. It'd be hard in this sense just because there's so much chemicals on there. But anyways, you'd sprinkle that light powder, apply an adhesive tape, and then lift the fingerprint off, and that's how you kind of preserve a fingerprint.
Now, did you try and do that in this case?
I did not.
Why not?
Because she said she brought the groceries in. I mean, in our opinions as, on that scene, troopers on that day, we figured it wasn't necessary at that time.
So when she said she brought the groceries in, her fingerprints could have been on the bottle for a completely other reason.
Yeah, it could have been on anything.
All right. It might not be indicative of guilt or innocence at all.
Correct.
All right. And also there was chemicals on it, you said.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you arrived at Hurley Hospital, correct? Was it Genesis?
Later in the night, correct.
Later in the night. Had you been to Genesis Hospital first?
Yes.
You didn't talk to Mr. Imirowicz at Genesis Hospital, did you?
No, at the time, no.
So what time did you get to Hurley Hospital?
Like I said, probably around 11:30 to 12 o'clock in that general time frame.
11:30, 12 o'clock at night, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you went to Hurley Hospital, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And then you had the interview with Mr. Imirowicz.
Correct.
And we saw that on the tape. You also talked to Julie Conrad, correct?
Earlier in the night at Ascension Genesis, correct.
At Genesis you talked to her. All right. Did she give you the location of Megan?
She did.
Did she give it to you then or later on?
If I recall correctly, I believe I didn't ask at that time just because we needed to go talk to Conrad, go to the house. So I think I was in communications with her via text message, and I'm pretty sure that's how we obtained the accurate location when we went to go try to interview her.
And that's in text message with Julie Conrad, correct?
Either text message or phone call, I don't recall.
All right, but that's who you talked to, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you left there, you got there 11:30, 12 o'clock. This is at night, right? Yeah, answer yes or no.
Yes, sir, sorry.
No problem. You then went to the house?
If I recall correctly, could I look at my report?
You can look at your report.
Okay. Okay.
So after you left Hurley, you went to the house?
After I left Hurley, I went to the Quality Inn to interview.
Okay.
I apologize.
About what time did you leave the Quality Inn? Or leave to go to the Quality Inn?
Around that time frame. I wasn't at the hospital that long, so maybe 10, 15 minutes later.
So you said you got to the hospital at 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Right.
So you left the hospital 12:15?
If I got there at 11:30, probably left around 11:45. If I got there around midnight, probably 12:15.
All right, so it was late. Mr. Imirowicz, Conrad never said his daughter threw anything at him, correct?
In the interview with Conrad, he states something was thrown at him. He didn't give specifics.
All right. He said it was the night before, correct?
I don't recall if it was the night before on that video specifically or the day of, because he said a couple contradicting events.
You were given information with regard to his alcohol level, correct?
I was.
And based on what the report says, you had it about a 0.3?
Yep, the nurse, when we got in there, said he was at about a 0.3.
Okay. And that's a significant amount of alcohol.
I'd say so.
He indicated to you he had, if I remember correctly, he woke up in the morning, finished watching his movie, and finished the half bottle of Smirnoff Ice.
What he described as the seltzer beer bottle, Smirnoff Ice.
Is it possible for him to get a .3 if he had just that amount of alcohol
No.
in the morning?
No, sir.
He had to have had a significant amount of alcohol, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, just for information, when you pull somebody over, and I assume you do road patrol as well,
I do.
all right, there's a level where if someone blows above that level, you take him to the hospital, correct?
In some instances, yes.
Usually what level is that to take him to the hospital?
It's very dependent, circumstantial. Some people are functioning alcoholics that would exhibit maybe a .25 or a .3, but they seem coherent. They seem, coherent enough to, do sobrieties and, go to jail and stuff like that. It's all situational based. There's not a protocol for Michigan State Police, no.
All right. If he was a .3 at, what was it, 9 o'clock when he got to Hurley, do you know what he'd have been at 4 o'clock when the ambulance showed up?
Judge, I'm going to object. That would call for speculation as to the individual rate of a person metabolizing alcohol.
Response?
If he knows, Your Honor, first of all, I will rephrase.
Thank you.
Have you been trained in alcohol enough to know what the blood alcohol level would be several hours before?
Yes, sir.
You have.
Yes, sir.
All right. So if he blew a .3 at 9 o'clock at night, do you know what he would have blown at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Again, he could have been coming down, as far as blood alcohol coming down or coming up. There'd be no way to tell as when he started drinking and if he's either going up as far as intox, wise, or going down. So unfortunately, you wouldn't know.
All right. It would be substantially higher than a .3, though, correct?
If he was going up, yeah.
He indicated he had half of a Smirnoff Ice in the morning after he woke up and he watched TV, and then he went to bed, correct?
Correct.
And again, that's not possible. He had to have more alcohol than that, correct?
In my professional opinion, yes.
Now, you went then, after you interviewed him, you indicated you went to the Quality Inn, right?
Yes, sir.
You went to the Quality Inn, you were looking for some individuals.
Correct.
Had you been told what those individuals were there for?
Briefly, I might have been told briefly about a birthday party of some sort.
Okay. You pulled in and you saw this group of individuals in the car,
I did.
and you thought this was possibly them.
I did.
How long, any idea what time of night it was?
Again, it was later in the night. It was dark out. I'd say around midnight.
Well, if you got to the hospital at 11:30 and left at 11:45, how long a drive is it from Flint to Waterford?
From Flint to Waterford, I'd say about 20 minutes.
Okay. If you left at 12:15 and you'd gotten to the hospital then, this would be 12:30, quarter to 1.
Sure.
You don't remember what time specifically?
I don't have it time stamped on my report. No, I don't.
All right. Now, you knew that this individual may have been partying. This was a party, correct?
Correct. Birthday party for an 18-year-old.
For an 18-year-old. Did you question her with regard to if she'd been drinking anything?
No, sir.
Did you observe her eyes to see if she'd been smoking anything?
Like I said, it was dark out, but I didn't observe any notable clues, whether she was intox or any other recreational drugs or drugs.
Did you look?
I was looking at her eyes, yes, while I was speaking with her.
That the lights were down at her legs, correct? Or at her lower waist, the car lights, correct?
Correct. There was still ambient light, though, that I could see the person's face. Megan's face.
You questioned her for quite a while, correct?
We did.
The moment she said she threw white powder on him, was she free to leave?
She was free at any time in that interview, until she was arrested.
After you left her, you went to the house at some point?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
Again, I don't have the time-stamped information, and since it was 2 years ago, it's hard to recall the exact time and events that...
You went that night, morning, right away?
Correct.
And you were still on your shift?
Correct. During my shift.
What observations did you make of the house?
At the house, I observed it was quite messy. There was a lot of bugs on the ceiling. I'm not sure what they were, but it was just a messy house in general.
Did you? What was there an odor?
It smelled quite bad. Yeah.
What kind of odor?
I don't recall. It just wasn't a pleasant odor.
Throughout the whole house?
Yes, sir.
You said there was liquid on the couch.
The couch was dampened, so there had to have been liquid at some point or another, but there wasn't standing or stationary liquid that was sitting on the couch pooled. It was soaked in.
Was there something soaked in on the floor by it? Do you remember?
I believe so. I don't recall 100%.
Okay. And where was the bottle, the white bottle, when you got there?
On relation to the couch?
Whereabouts on the couch in the house was that white bottle?
Correct. So once you go up the right side of the stairs, you get on the top level. If you hang a left, that's the living room. The couch is facing what would be the south wall, right under a window. The bottle of lye was on the left-hand side of the couch if you're looking south in the household towards the couch and the window.
So it was on the couch?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if anyone had been to that house before you? After this incident and before you?
Well, sure. The EMS was in there when they loaded Konrad up. I was told that there was other individuals that went in the house to check out the scene.
Were you aware that Julie Konrad was sent back to the house by Austin Imirowicz?
I was not.
Were you aware that they were in the house?
I was not.
Okay. Do you know if anyone else was in the house?
Unfortunately, no.
If I could have just a second.
A lot of background noise on the audio feed today. Very interesting. And as I say, everybody chill. The heated debates are happening. Have the debates. Just don't get too worked up, okay?
Now, Trooper, you said you got Megan's location from Julie Konrad?
Correct.
Okay. You don't recall exactly when that was or the method?
I don't, unfortunately.
Now, when you were interviewing Megan, you were observing her, correct? You were talking to her?
Correct.
So you were looking at her pretty much the entire time, which was about 15 minutes according to the interview?
Correct.
Okay. You're a Michigan State Police Trooper. Is that right?
I am.
How many drunk driving investigations have you done?
Probably 150, maybe 200.
Okay. What kind of training, or what are you told to look for, or trained to look for when you're conducting a drunk driving investigation to see if someone's intoxicated?
So you look for multiple clues of intoxication, whether it's watery eyes, bloodshot eyes. It's called nystagmus in the eyes, when the eyes kind of bounce when you do tests with the eyes. You observe odor of intoxicants, how the individual presents himself. Can they walk properly? Can they answer your questions, in a manner that a sober person would, if you will? Stuff along those lines.
Did you observe any of those indicators when you were talking to Megan?
I did not.
Okay, so was there anything to your knowledge that suggested that she might have been intoxicated?
No, sir.
Okay. When you approached the vehicle she was in, did you see anything that would suggest that there was intoxicants going on?
Unfortunately, it was dark.
Okay.
So, we had our flashlight, but I didn't want to blind everyone else in there. So we had enough light so we could see the individuals in their hands, but we didn't see any, either alcohol or drugs, narcotics, nothing around or anything like that.
Have you been trained in the odor of marijuana?
I have.
Okay. Have you smelled marijuana?
I have smelled marijuana.
Did you smell any marijuana in the car?
I did not.
Okay. So, do you have any reason to believe that Megan might have been intoxicated when she was talking to you?
Absolutely not.
Now, when you were talking to Konrad at the hospital, right, he was there, was he hooked up to an IV already?
I believe he was.
Do you know if he had been administered any medication?
I'm assuming.
Okay.
But
But
I
you don't know
know
for
for
sure?
sure, yeah.
Okay. In the course of your career, you've interviewed, I assume, many, many people.
Correct.
Okay. Have you ever had someone lie to you?
Daily.
Okay. Have you ever had someone lie to you to protect somebody else?
All the time.
Okay. Now, when you were talking to Konrad, you, of course, identified yourself as a police officer, right?
Correct.
And you were in full uniform.
I was.
And you were investigating a crime scene.
I was.
And, in fact, you were investigating his daughter.
Yes, sir.
And so he told you that she threw stuff at him.
That's what he stated, correct.
Okay. But he didn't specify exactly what.
Correct.
And he also told you that he had drank just a little bit of Smirnoff.
Correct.
Smirnoff Ice, actually.
Correct.
And we know that's not true, right? His blood alcohol level, that's not possible.
Correct.
All right. Now I want to talk about the house. When you got back to the house, it was unlocked, correct?
It was, yes.
Okay. Was there any indication that anything had been rifled through? I mean, it was a messy house, but...
Unfortunately, it would be hard to tell just because it was so messy.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Just briefly, you've been trained to detect marijuana nowadays, I assume.
I have.
What do you do to detect marijuana?
Just the odor of marijuana. If you are investigating a OWI scene on the road, you do a lack of convergence test, just to test their eyes and test their balance and stuff along those lines.
Did you do that in this case?
I did not.
And Mr. Imirowicz didn't need any tests. You knew he was a .3, correct?
Well, he was, yeah, correct.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, do you have any questions? Okay, sir, can you write down, please?
Jury question.
Yes, please. Location of the bottle cap.
I do not.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, any other questions?
Actually, Judge, can I ask one follow-up with that?
Yeah, let me get to you. And ladies and gentlemen, any other questions?
Oh, the same question.
Go ahead, Mr. Sands.
Just to be clear, there was a couple bottles there, so let's break them down. Do you know the location of the bottle cap for the lye bottle?
I do not.
Okay. There were other bottles present, correct?
There was lots of bottles present.
Okay. Presumably you saw some bottle tops, but you did not know where the bottle of lye top was.
Correct. It was too messy for me to rifle around everything.
Thank you.
That covered my questions.
Any other questions? Okay, sir, you may step down and excuse the witness.
Thank you. Judge, the people have no other witnesses.
People rest?
Yes.
Okay, people rest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 11:51. The people have rested. The defense will have an opportunity to call witnesses if they would like. Is this a good time for you to take your lunch? Would you like to take your lunch now? Okay. Do you have witnesses?
They're supposed to meet me in like 7 or 8 minutes in the cafeteria, so I should have witnesses.
Okay. Would you want 1 o'clock?
About 1:15.
1:15. Okay, we'll come back at 1:15. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, the jury.
Okay, so the prosecution has now rested their
Searching
case.
the internet and any other resources with regard to anything related to this matter, please. See you at 1:15.
So now they're going to take an hour 15 lunch break. An hour 20. All right. There she is.
Anything for the record?
No, Your Honor.
No, you're right.
Okay. See everybody at 1:15.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Please rise.
And now we look at the ceiling. That's it. We're looking at the ceiling now, you guys. Okay, so let's go back to this Amazon one. Okay, wait, let me just mute that. So here it is. Household 100% lie drain opener. That's what it looked like, right? Leanne Wright says, I didn't hear the jury question. It was hard to hear for me. So the jury question was, do they know where the bottle cap was of this lie? And they did not know. So, yes. Okay. Let's chat for a bit and see how it goes. Otherwise, I'll make a separate stream for the afternoon session. I don't know how many witnesses. It sounds like one witness will be there for the defense, right? So, yes. Okay. Just hold on 1 second. Just checking something. Okay, so let's click on this one. Ruto, that's what you guys were saying in the chat. Ruto, drain cleaner. Okay, so based on what she said, I don't know if she meant to do it, but I can definitely hear your concern that she continued on with it. Like she was so committed to that birthday party because it was her 18th birthday party at this hotel. I'm not sure why. Please tell me, and I'm not judging her for this or anyone. I'm saying if it's such a big deal, this party, it's at a hotel, why are you in sweatpants, right? And like not dressed up for this party, right? Is this afterwards? Because it's around midnight. But that's around midnight sitting in the car. What are you doing? What's happening? What kind of party is this? You know what I mean? Yes. So, Hope Hall Sanchez, I think she should do some jail time, but not life. She did take a life no matter how frustrated she was. Yes. I find it so interesting, these debates in all these cases. I don't know if you guys remember the case of Piper Lewis. She was a teenager who actually, and this is a much different crime, she stabbed her essayist, a guy that was not related to her, was essaying her. She killed him. And there, the chat had so much sympathy for her, right? Now, that's because we know that he was abusing her. Then she reacted. And even though she was going to do the time, there was a petition and all that and all kinds of stuff. It's just interesting to see the chats because, while I'm not blaming him, this victim of abuse, we're speculating, was there any? Because neglect is a form of abuse, and because it's invisible, just like coercive control is, oftentimes people have very, black or white thinking about it, of like, it's either this or it isn't. But neglect and coercive control is also part of abuse. Now, does that mean that he deserved that, to die like that, and what happened to him? No. However, does she know that that would do that? I'm not sure. Didn't seem like it. Crystal says, I wasn't allowed to do certain cleaning when I was younger. I would do it wrong. Right? And you guys are saying this is an 18-year-old, not an 8-year-old child. She deliberately opened the bottle and threw it. Seems so... It's also odd that everything was like under... The burns looked like, from what we could see from that video, all under him. And then the bottle was just standing there afterwards, right? That's just from when they obviously took him. So I don't know. It's... very interesting, this case. Okay, but anyway, this is the Rudo 1030 drain cleaner with lye, 1 pound, 2 piece. I just wonder, they don't really show us the bottle cap, really. But it's probably one of those safety caps you press down and then, right? That's what it looks like. So she would have had to then press down, turn, and do that. So she was, at the Quality Inn and Suites is what we also found out. So we can do some quick map time. Okay, let's have a quick look, because I was writing down all the things they were saying with the addresses as they said them. So let's look over here. So they stayed at 1650 Duck Creek Lane. And what I found was this Quality Inn. There's quite a couple that you can look up, but the one I found that was closest to the house, which makes sense, another one is quite far away, is this one on Holly Road. We can go there, I suppose. And then the hospital is also very close, which was interesting for me to consider, that the hospital was quite quite close. It makes the case worse because she could have just easily gone there, right? If she was like, oh my word, like what's wrong with him or what happened, or he's been taken to the hospital. So yes. Donald King says, my dad was a high-functioning alcoholic. He held down a job but drank himself to oblivion after work and on days off. He was never mean or abusive, just unreliable. Yes. She's definitely got some anger issues that we can identify, right? Imagine if she was throwing stuff at him, says Blue Bear Art. He might have turned his back to her, thus burns on his back side. Could be that as well. So let's just go here. Sorry, the background music, I can hear it now. It's a bit loud, Turn it down, turn it down. Quality Inn and Suites. Okay, where's the little man? Little man, can you go there, please? Does it look the same? Just drive around a little bit. Quality Inn. I mean, it looks similar-ish, right? To the video. We'd have to actually compare. Anne says, I don't know. After hearing the tape, I'm more inclined to think she knew what she was doing. Okay. Yeah, she was angry but not homicidal. So that's why she's not charged with murder. She's charged with unlawful use of a harmful device like an irritant causing the death, a felony, and a misdemeanor of DV. So I think they were here, right? Here by the door somewhere? Yeah. Okay, we're going in. Can we go in? We're driving now. They were parked somewhere around here, right? Let's see if we can drive around. Can we? Ooh. No, don't skip like that. You'll be like, buckle up, everyone. We're driving around now. Okay. So anyway, it does look like it was this hotel, right? It looks like it from what we saw, even though that was at night. So if I just go out of this, then yeah, the hospital was really not far. It's probably like a 5-minute drive or something. Let's see. Here it is. Ascension Genesis Hospital. And the whole trip from home to the hospital and to the Quality Inn is 14.9 miles. Yes. I don't know that as well. Okay, so the rest of the letter says, did the inn know underage kids were going to have a party there? His dad... I don't know what... That's what I'm asking. What kind of party is it? Is it like, let's all meet in the parking lot and party it up? Or are you actually going into the hotel? Did you book a restaurant? Did you book something? Because, yeah, they're still underage. It's 21, right? In the USA. Yes. Okay. So... OG Maptime music playing in your head. Just hold on 1 second. Three times the legal limit could have been urine as well. So, yeah. Interesting. All right, so we've got that. And let's see what else we heard from there. Sorry, you probably heard that paper like whoosh. So Nerdy Cat says, I assume she didn't use the credit card to pay for the groceries, otherwise she'd be lying about having issues with the card. Not sure why that question came to mind, but curious still. It sounded like, I know there was a lot of static on that video, but it almost sounded like... yeah, she said the PIN wasn't working. That's what the friend said. It almost sounded like the credit card wasn't working, or the funds weren't working or something, and she couldn't pay for what I assume would be the hair appointment. Interesting. Jeepsla said, I thought her lawyer said she didn't throw anything. Right? And then there she said she threw bread. She did also admit to those police officers who did not read her Miranda rights. Someone in the chat was saying it differs state by state. I'm not sure about that. To me, I would be like, you can't like surround her, like that, intimidating her and then not read her Miranda rights at all, or even tell her what kind of predicament she's in. That seemed a bit hectic. But anyway, the point is, when they asked her, did you throw something though? She's like, only bread. And then she's like, and water. And she remembers white stuff coming out of a bottle. So that's a lot of things that she did throw. Yes. Carla says it seems he died more due to him being an alcoholic. And just to make it clear, okay, you know on this channel, we do not victim blame. So by presenting the facts of his blood alcohol level, by saying he could have been, speculatively, was he neglectful? We're trying to find the reasoning of why is she doing this, right? But by no means victim blaming. He did not deserve this. No one should be throwing anything on anyone else, even if it's just bread. It's still part of domestic abuse, domestic violence. And he did say they went back and forth, shouting at each other. You know, he did say that in the footage we saw. So there's that as well. Okay? So we're not, well, I don't know. I'm not victim blaming. You guys, you can decide for yourselves. But on this channel, we don't victim blame. I'm just wondering if this 18-year-old knew what this would do. And, of course, how much of a disadvantage his body's state was in from the alcohol, right? That's just like, what a snowball effect. So did she still catalyze that and cause his death from doing this? Yes. Yes, she did. Will she have to pay the price? I think so. If I was on the jury, I'd be like, but you got to take her. I would just say yes, but you have to take her age into consideration and that this wasn't like premeditated that we know of. Although, if she's buying all the groceries and things, did she buy this just for the house in general, or did she buy it on purpose, thinking, yeah, I'm going to throw this on him? I don't know. Christy says he went to another hospital after called Hurley. Yeah, Hurley or something. The spice meter says I'm not TV. Okay, we don't turn down the spice a little, mud dude. I think a lot of people could also be triggered, which is why this it's trigger warning. This content's for adults only. Okay, and there are some triggering topics. There is the topic of domestic abuse. There is the topic of alcoholism or having a parent who suffers from that, right? And neglect. There is the topic of, is the teenager entitlement? Is it entitlement? Is she entitled? What is going on here? So there's a lot to discuss, and I know it gets everybody going. She was 18 at the time. He was 64. And he died 5 months later from this, from catalyzing this chemical burn complications. And the doctor who performed the autopsy said homicide. So, but she's not charged with homicide, like murder. It's this snowball, unlawful possession or use of harmful devices, imitation, irritants, causing death, a felony, and misdemeanor, domestic violence. Now, what would be interesting is to hear more about this domestic abuse in the house, because someone in chat said, what if every time he got drunk then she domestically abused him? That is actually a possibility. Could it be the other way around? If someone is neglectful or, unreliable, can you abuse them? No, still not. No. Gemini 65 says childhood trauma. Yeah. Anna says sounds like the dad's a hoarder. He said, did you hear it when he said, I had half a bottle of Smirnoff. I just had the Smirnoff. And he's like, give me a break, you guys. That's what he said in the hospital. But like, give me a break. Whoa, like, I just mean, damn, it was not just the Smirnoff, as the police officer said. It would have been many things that night as well. I mean, the timeline is so blurry for him. He thinks that she threw the stuff on him the night before, right? Yeah. Rabbit says it was an old jar, the label was worn. Or did the lye reaction with the water wear down the label? Right? Sally says it doesn't take alcohol to neglect a child. No, it doesn't exclusively take alcohol. But sometimes alcoholism can cause the neglect of children, right? We've seen that in a lot of cases as well. Are we saying that this happened? Yeah, no, we don't know. We don't know. Magnetic Jan is like, we can have different opinions. We are friends here, right? Yeah. And Miss Zippy says his immune system was destroyed by his alcoholism. Yep. Painting with Pity says that this is very difficult for everyone. I think we have an adult child, a deceased parent, from complications due from the child. It is difficult. It is difficult, which is why I'm bringing you this trial. Not to get you all worked up, but to discuss it, okay? And be like, what can we learn from this? Well, damn, yeah. Don't throw things, don't abuse anyone, especially if they're suffering from whatever it is. If you're pissed off with them, if they're making you enraged, if you feel like you promised or whatever it is, you can't just act out, right? Get help or find a way to channel the rage, the emotions, even though I know it's very frustrating, very, right? Get help for him, especially, I would say, in the scenario. Not that an 18-year-old, I don't know, maybe she can. I'm not sure. Maybe he's been in and out of rehab, all we know. We don't know that. But the point is, I always try to look at these trials and these cases to learn as much as possible. I don't know about you. Jillybean says, sounds like he was in denial. Yeah, I also don't think she intentionally did this. But yeah, going on with the party, shame. That's just like, oh man, that did not go well for her. So, right. Let me quickly do this. Just hold on 1 second. We'll go like this. I'm just going to make something for you because I can keep the... Could keep the stream going. Wait, let's see Michigan time. Michigan time. 12:09. They're coming back in an hour. Decisions. And yes, he died of complications from an infection. You guys, the infection from those chemical burns. It looked terrible. We saw that video. It looked bad, huh? Wow. Okay, so Amsterdam Pigeon says, I learned about lie at school, thankfully. Different classes, actually. History class was the first. Wow, okay. I have to admit, it was a case of connecting the dots to fully understand. Okay. So, we started the stream. I don't think it's going to be long this afternoon. We shall see. Dana Bulbrook says, it is tragic no matter the outcome. That we can all agree on, right, guys? It's tragic no matter the outcome. Yes, Dana. I saw a case recently where I don't know how old she was. Some young lady literally was very drunk and driving. And she killed 2 people who were in the road. But she was, you probably saw this, I don't know, I think it was also on Law and Crime Network, but she was like laughing and be like, what? Like, I'm going to school tomorrow, right? And she was just not taking it seriously. But yes, I think she's going to prison for life. That was quite something. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream and we'll start another one for the afternoon session, even though that might be short because it's nice for replay watchers. And then I'll tighten this up as well because there was a lot of waiting in between. I hope that you enjoyed learning about lie and soap making. And we'll learn more about this case later. The prosecution, they've now arrested their case. So now it's for the defense. And let's see when there'll be closing arguments and what the verdict will be. I'll be very interested to see what the verdict will be in this case. Leave a comment below what you think the verdict will be. Please be kind to yourself, okay? Especially if you're feeling triggered or very angry, okay? Channel your feelings. If you just be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you in the next one, okay? So make sure you subscribe with the bell on. I'm going to set it up right now. I'll put it up as soon as it's ready, okay? Give me 5 minutes, and then I'll see you there for that stream, okay? All right, everybody. Bye.